Your girl's not feeling the best today, but it's okay. It's all right. It's fine. We're good. We're gonna, yep.
Nope.
Hey guys, how are y'all? My hair looks crazy. That's not new. I look a little rough, but that is okay. So today I wanted to film all about basically getting your own pets and things I wish that I would have known when it came to getting my pets that I've had. First and foremost, that when I say getting your own pet, this can be anything from a betta fish to like a small reptile or even a dog. Just things that I've found. So growing up, we always had like family pets, and then when I was about 15, I decided that I wanted my own pets. So I've had rats, I've had a betta fish, which are great pets. I currently have a leopard gecko and my dog Archie. And then I've had a hedgehog, but he didn't stay with me for very long. Sadly, he is still alive, but that's a whole nother thing. That wasn't really me. Anyway, and just things that I've learned kind of across the board. So this video is geared more towards like younger teens that are maybe wanting to get their first pet, or people who have never owned pets, like their own. Maybe your family's had pets, but you may not understand everything that goes into having a pet. So I just want to bring a few things to your attention. Number one, you need to figure out how much this pet is going to cost you up front, because you can't just get the pet and then buy things kind of as you go. That works to a certain extent, but you can't get a betta fish and then just fill the tank with tap water. Most pets have needs, even if it is just a dog, and looking up your dog's breed and different things can be really, really beneficial, and figuring out how much it's going to cost you before you bring the pet home and getting those items before you bring the pet home. I would also recommend not skimping on things. If you're going to have a reptile, for example, my leopard gecko Shadow, she needs heating pads and lighting and a big tank, and she needs fresh mealworms and things like that. And so understanding your pet's needs and how to provide the best care for your pet. It's the best care versus minimal care, and you always want to err on the side of best care possible. So I think with dogs, it's a little more basic. You know that your dog does not need a bajillion beds or anything. You know, dogs, you kind of know what they need. They need food and water and, you know, a leash, and you want to get all that stuff. Now, some of the stuff can be hard to buy before you get the pet, but you at least want to have the funds to do that. Another thing I want to bring up when it comes to getting pets, there are a lot of pets that need homes. So there's pets at pet stores that you can go buy, but oftentimes you can find pets that are needing homes and they come with everything. And most of the time, it's a little cheaper to do it that way, and you're giving them a new good home, if that makes sense. Because the ones at the pet store are the most likely to get adopted, and also buying from the pet store. Pet stores are a whole nother issue. I'm not going to completely bash them in this video. If that's the way you'd like to go, that's fine. My leopard gecko, I found her on Craigslist. She was $100 and came with everything, which is so cheap. And the people drove 2 hours just to bring her to me. So there are people out there that want their pets to go to good homes and are very negotiable when it comes to rehoming fees and stuff like that. My dog Archie, I got for free with all of his stuff because he was needing a home. There's always animals in need, and the ones at the pet store are usually the first place people go. So I would recommend, especially if you haven't had that type of pet before. So my leopard gecko, she came with everything I needed. And if I had questions, like when I first got her, she wasn't eating. And I was able to text her previous pet parents and be like, hey, like, what can I get that you know she's going to eat? Turns out she really likes the little crickets, and that was an easy fix. They also could give me some tips on how to handle her before I got her, to where I knew that specific pet's temperament. Another thing that you want to figure out is the type of care that your pet is going to be needing. So when it came to my beta, it was changing her water every couple weeks. She was pretty easy. You know, I did feed her once a day, I think. It's been a minute since I've had her. My leopard gecko, turning her light on and off at the appropriate times, feeding her the appropriate amount, getting her vitamins. When it comes to Archie, you know, feeding your dogs, making sure you're getting treats that are safe for them, not rawhide, and, you know, figuring out your dog's temperament. Also, I work 12-hour shifts, so I don't want to leave my dog pent up in my house for 12 hours. So I leave him with my parents, because by the time it ends up, when you consider me driving any errands that I might have to run after work and sometimes having to stay late, most of the time it's at least 13 or 14 hours. And that, I feel like that's just not fair to him. So arranging that care of, oh, my parents can watch him while I'm gone during the day. Shadow, she hangs out. I turn her light on in the morning, check on her, refresh her water. But you want to know, okay, if I go on a trip or I want to do this, like now you have these pets to think about. So, because like your fish, you can't leave them for like over a week or they're going to die. So that's important. Also figuring out how much they're going to cost you every month and if you can afford it. Some pets are way more expensive than you would think. So this is where doing your research really comes into play. There are a ton of YouTube videos, if you don't like to read, of people with their cute pets explaining their daily pet routine, explaining the cost of having a specific pet. And some of them will be very honest and explain some of the downfalls of specific pets too. You want to look into all of this. You don't want to get a pet and then decide you don't want it and not have anything to do with that pet. And then you both end up miserable because you just spent all this time and money on a pet that you don't even want. So doing that research, making sure it's appropriate for you is so important, because there's a pet out there for everyone. There is. It just may not be the one that you're necessarily thinking. A huge thing to consider is your pet's lifespan. Leopard geckos can live up to 15 years, sometimes a little bit longer, depending on how well you take care of them. And you don't want to be, again, having to get rid of a pet. Me personally, I want to keep my pets their entire life. And if something happens, I personally have it set in my mind that I'd have to rehome them to a good home. You don't want to be that person that just lets your pet go or flushes your fish when it's alive. That's horrible. Please don't be that person. So figure out their lifespan and figure out if that's something you can do. Me, my pets are my ride or dies. I'm having them for their whole life. I wanted pets with a longer lifespan. Having my rats that like only lived 3 years was devastating to me at the end of those 3 years. And I was left wanting so much more time with them. So I like having my leopard gecko and I like having my dog. Now, something that does sometimes play into adopting pets and things like that, you won't always know their age. So Shadow, she's about 1.5 years old. I know her age, but Archie was found and was picked up when he was homeless. And I took him to the vet and they said that he's at least 2 or 3 years old. At least. So I don't know his age and I don't know how long I get with him. But that's okay. Because sometimes it's fun for me. Like I will just choose to celebrate my dog's birthday on random days because they don't know. And if you do it more than once in a year, they don't know. They have no concept of time and their lives are much shorter than ours. So you celebrate your dog's birthday. If you have roommates or you live with your parents or you are renting where you are living, you have to check with those people before you get a pet. Please do not be the person that just brings a pet into your place. That's not fair. And sometimes pets, like, it'll say they're noisy and you're like, no, they're going to be so quiet. Don't be that person. Also, if they're not allowed where you're living, look into other pets. Like I said, betta fish make great pets. My betta used to follow my finger. I loved my betta, okay? I grew very attached to her. But don't break rules because this pet is your end all be all. Because if you get caught or they make you get rid of it, it's going to be hard for you and that pet more than likely, and that's not fair to the pet. And you are choosing to basically become that pet's parent knowing that there's a chance you can't keep them, and it's just irresponsible. I'm kind of hesitant to buy pet products used just because you don't know. Like if you were to buy a dog bed used, it would probably smell like that dog and it's going to piss your dog off. They're probably not going to want to use it. However, your dog does, or your pets don't need the bougiest of the bougie. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to find a $200 dog bed, you can find one. You can also find a $20 one at Ross or possibly cheaper. So that's another thing. Amazon's really helpful for kind of gauging things. And then I would always go to like Marshall's, Ross, DD's discounts, places like that, and see if I could find it for even cheaper. But when setting up your budget, that can be really helpful. Is that if you are renting, for example, or depending on where you're living, you may have to turn in proof of veterinary care. This is more common with dogs and cats, saying that they've been fixed or they've been vaccinated. I was going to say euthanized, but you don't want proof that your dog was euthanized. Jesus. Proof of these things, vet bills aren't cheap. Even if you go to your local animal birth control clinic, it's going to run you a couple $100s, more than likely. So, keep that in mind. Also, you do want to be able to take your pet to the vet if needed. Now, this is something where you really don't know how much it's going to cost, but recently, Archie got into some chocolate, and I still don't know how he got to it. That was $633 down the drain, okay? So, pets can be expensive. And yes, that was like kind of an extreme circumstance, but you don't want to like not have the money to take your pet to the vet. Now, I will be completely transparent with that. In that situation, my parents did pay the bill and I am paying them back. So that is something that you could like do, like use your parents or someone else's, like your bank or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like take a little loan out. But that sucked and that was scary and I'm still having to pay for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm paying them back. So that's still going to be $633. Not down the drain because he needed to go. He was going to die. But that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. So, understanding that pets can be expensive and that you need to be willing to get them care if necessary, or at least be willing to like have them put down, because it's really unfair. It makes me really sad when people like let their animals suffer. So that's all I have to say. Happy pet hunting. Good luck. I hope you find a pet that makes you very happy. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.